Hi, I'm Lisa and I just moved to London from the United States. So in my last video, I got a really great comment from Minzy Mins asking what the process was of flying to the UK, what the tests are like, and a few more details like that. So thank you for your comment, Minzy, and I will be answering that for anyone who's planning on flying to the UK, or moving, or who are just kind of curious about what you need to do. So I moved to the UK at the end of May 2021, and while a few things have changed, the general practices of the testing and the paperwork that you have to fill out pretty similar. So I'll go through those. The first thing you have to do is you have to book a couple of tests, and this may include 2 to 3 tests. So before you leave, you'll have to book a pre-flight test. So I flew British Airways, and I'm not sure what airline you're gonna fly. I assume the restrictions are pretty similar across all airlines, but be sure to check the restrictions depending on who you're flying with. But for British Airways, you have to take a COVID test 3 days before flying. So that's either a PCR test or a lateral flow test. Those are the rapid tests. So you'll have that negative test result for flying. You can have that either printed or you can have that on your phone or email, and you'll just kind of show them once you get to the airport to get on the flight to the UK. And you'll also show them as you're landing and going through customs and getting your paperwork sorted out to come into the country. So that's test number 1. Test number 2 is gonna be on day 2, and that's if you are vaccinated. If you're vaccinated in the US and you have your CDC vaccination card, you don't have to quarantine, which is amazing because when I moved, I had to quarantine for 5 days, and I had to take a day 2 test, a day 5 test, and a day 8 test. So I ended up taking 4 tests in total. So for you, flying to the UK and flying back to the US, it will only be about 3 tests. So the day 2 test needs to be booked in advance. And that's because you'll get a confirmation code that you have booked, and you'll use that on the 3rd step, which is the passenger locator form, actually the 2nd step. But the test that you'll have to take is the day 2 test, and I'll add some links below of where you can book the test. It's usually between £50 and £75. So that's like $70 US to about $105 US for the test that you'll have to book. I would say do not order that and have that shipped to your address in the US unless you have plenty of time before your trip. You can pick it up at the testing location, or they can ship it to you at your hotel or your Airbnb. The tests are kind of expensive, so I just wouldn't risk it coming to me in the US. I would just wait until you get to the UK, and you have it's on day 2. So the day you land is actually not day 1, that's day 0. So day 1 would be the next day after you land, and then day 2 would be the day that you take that test. So technically you have 3 days to kind of pick up the test and take it when you are coming to the UK. So that's the day 2 test. And then the next test you would have to take, the 3rd test, is when you're heading back to the US. So again, I would check your airline on this, but I'm pretty sure you have to take a test 3 days prior to heading back to the US according to your airline. So you could use the same link where you book your day 2 test in the UK to kind of book a test for you to get back on the flight. So that's all the tests that you need as far as I know. But again, please be sure to check restrictions on the UK.gov site and then the CDC or the US travel sites. So the next thing you have to do is you have to give the dates, meaning you have to fill out some paperwork. So there's this thing called a passenger locator form. Again, I flew British Airways and they provided it to me when I booked my flight. And you would have to fill this out 48 hours before your flight, so 2 days. So on this flight, you'll kind of give them the basic information, passport, where you're going, where you're staying, and also the confirmation numbers for the tests that you booked beforehand. So that's why you have to book the day 2 COVID test before you travel and before you fill out this passenger locator form, because they're going to need those numbers so that they can track you while you're in London, and they will. When I was in quarantine, the NHS called me every single day, which is their National Health Service, and they use those passenger locator forms to kind of make sure that I was quarantining, that I was wearing my mask, that I was taking the tests and what the results of the tests were. I'm not sure if they'll call you every single day because of the change of the rules now that people are no longer needed to quarantine, but just that's what happened to me. And that brings me to the third tip. So if you're anything like me, you're gonna be on your phone constantly when you're in the UK. You're gonna be using Google Maps because it can be a little tricky to navigate this place. You're gonna be, on social media, you're gonna be using your phone a lot. So I used up a bunch of data and I was still using my US phone plan. At the time I had Verizon, and I called them and got an international plan added to my regular monthly plan. So I would suggest you do that if you want to use your phone, is you call your mobile plan provider and kind of get an international plan going. But beware, because I got charged $10 every single day, every time I picked up the phone to use it while I was here before I got my UK plan. And that added up real fast at $10 a day. So that's one option, using your current phone and your current plan, but just adding an international plan on top by calling your provider before you leave. And the second thing you can do is to get a UK SIM card. You can either purchase this right when you land. They have a kiosk at the airport right as you get out of the arrival gate. And with this UK SIM card, you'll get a UK number. You can get as much data as you want, from like 5 megabits or bytes up to like 20 for the entire time you're here. You just swap out that SIM card. You can actually purchase this online through Amazon or other sites, so that you have that SIM card before you land, or you can just get it when you get here at the airport. The big ones are EE, Vodafone, 3, and O2. So you can just search online for that and have that shipped to your house if you'd like to go the UK SIM card route. But if you're kind of just staying for a couple of days or less than a week, maybe go with your US phone plan and just add that international plan to it. But again, I mentioned the phone plan because on the passenger locator form, you will have to give them a phone number. So if you're going to give them your US phone number, just know that you'll get that international phone charge, or you can give them the UK phone number with that SIM card that you purchase ahead of time. And then that's it. There's a lot to do. The fourth and last thing is to just explore, is to enjoy your time. You kind of did the work, you got the test, you fill out the paperwork, and now you're here. You're here in England, you're here in London, and since the restrictions are easing, a lot of more restaurants are open, museums are open, and there's just so much to see and do. You're just gonna have an amazing time. I would say try to pre-book a lot of the things that you want to do. If you want to go to a museum, if you want to go to like the Sky Garden or other things like that, they do require that you have a reservation ahead of time, and things can kind of book up quickly. So it's kind of hard to be a little spur of the moment with some of the more concrete things like the British Museum or things like that. So I would say pro tip, go ahead and pre-book anything that you want to see in advance. So I hope this video has helped anyone who's planning on coming to the UK pretty soon with the COVID test and how to fly into the country. If you have any questions about flying, about my move, about London, please feel free to comment below. And if you like this video and want to follow me on my journey around England, the UK, and beyond, please like this video and subscribe. Thanks!